I see my bullies on social media, and there are moments where I want to say to them, do you even know what you did?
10 years, 20 years, and you realize the patterns and you've dimmed your life so much that you don't know yourself.
If you get pregnant in school, forget it, you're dead.
The less time you spend doing what you're called to do, your God-given purpose, the less time you will have to actually show up as your God-given woman.
Read it up here, Danny. Up is at 10. Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Tracy with the illustrious Jill, the NP, and Kim. And we are coming to you yet again live from the set of the 40-ish podcast. Hi. All right, so we're getting ready to dive into another interesting topic for you guys. But before we do, let's do our weekly check-in. Girls, how was your week?
My week was good. It was really good. I had time. I made intentional time for the gym, for relaxation, to get a lot of work done. So it was good.
My week, very busy as usual. You know, I work 5 days a week, and then I go to church on the weekends. And in between, you're dealing with husband, children, and businesses. So, you know, I just try to balance it with exercising, as Kim says, and church, the spiritual health management of my mood.
Well, you make it look easy.
Thank you, but it's
you
not.
You make it look amazingly easy. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it, girl.
Thank you.
So for me, I had a very busy week also. But let me tell you, child, you remember how, was it last week or the week before, I was panicking about one broken nail?
Yes.
Don't you know I fell down the stairs and this week I have 3 broken nails?
Oh my God.
3 broken nails. So leave me alone. Y'all don't judge me. I had a rough week, but I'm here for you.
Amen.
It's a
Live
blessing.
on set at the 40s podcast with 3 broken nails.
Oh
It's a
my
blessing.
God.
If you fell down the stairs and only 3 nails broke, you're still winning.
But why so many falls though? You fell already and then you fell again?
No, this was the only fall.
Oh,
the first one just
yeah,
broke.
yeah.
Oh,
you know,
just
'cause it
broke. Okay.
But
Okay.
this time it
just
was.
be careful.
Yeah.
'Cause we don't
Well,
want anything
listen.
happening at this age.
Wait a minute.
It's hard to hear.
Now y'all see? You see what I
No,
got?
I'm just saying, just be careful.
No, this is how we.
It's
we,
love.
This
It's
is love. This is the sisterhood love. Anyway,
Amen.
I made it through a very busy and hectic week. We had a powerful networking event.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
We went on Thursday night.
Thursday
night at Krave, the
Yes.
power of her was amazing.
Phenomenal.
Yes,
To
yes.
be in a room with powerful women and surrounding yourself with all that luxurious feel of just women. Yeah.
What's her name? That
Celine. Charisse.
Pick up Charisse.
From Krave
and
Eatery.
Chrissy,
Yes.
owner of Krave. Well, both
Yes,
of them
yes,
are
yes.
owners, right? Yes.
Yeah,
it was
Krave
very good.
was
Awesome.
amazing. They hosted a phenomenal event. And let me tell you something. If you have a small business, that was the room that you needed to be
Because
in.
there's an upcoming one on
There's
April
another one that's
16th.
coming up. Yes,
16th.
April 16th. Yes.
Yeah.
The invitations are out. If you want if you want a link to the Eventbrite, you can hit me up in the chat and I'll send you to the link because it's by RSVP. When I tell you that space is limited, trust me, space
It was
is
packed.
limited.
Yeah,
That
You
was a
want
full
to be in the room.
There's so many different business entrepreneurs, ventures. You know, there's so many different aspects of people that were there. So I was very impressed.
Yeah, and not only people who had businesses, but they had bank reps. There was
Yes,
the guy
there were,
from
yeah.
Chase.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was giving us information on how to do grants, how to ask for
Yes.
grants.
A lady
specialized-
also was there that write grants.
Yes.
And she researches how you could get free
Free
money.
money,
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
So trust me when I tell you, I was so excited. I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Exhausted, but it was worth it.
It was worth it.
It was
It really
worth
was.
it.
Yes.
How
And it was a
about
beautiful end to the
all
week.
3 of us being ex-Alpharian girls and how well they're performing in champs.
Okay,
The 4x4
shout out to the
relays.
Alpha Combat
Shout
of
out
Mercy Academy
yes,
girls.
Yes, I'm proud of you
Yes.
girls.
We're watching you guys from New York. Keep it up. We're rooting for you.
As a fellow St. Jago, you know, like I'm so
No, we
behind.
give you credit for
She was-
Alpha.
No, I know,
Oh.
but I'm just saying for a past student of St. Jago High School that I should really be in tune with champs, and I'm actually not because I'm so
Yeah, because
busy.
So big.
Yes, and
Of
big on
course.
champs and running through.
Of
Yeah,
course, and I spend most of my
You do
school.
better.
I know. I spend, but you know, remember I'm preparing for something big next week.
I know.
So.
Yes.
We're praying with you.
Amen.
We're praying with you. And this is the
it
one
just-
time. This is your season of grace. We don't hold anything against you right now
we're
because we
giving her
did
nothing
it.
but grace.
They gave me grace. We were supposed to meet here 8, and I came in 9:15.
Confessions of the party one.
But you know what? Let me just take a
These are my
moment.
confessions.
First, I want to thank our Kayan
Producer,
behind the scenes,
yes.
who is our
Big it up
producer,
for Keon.
Yes, manager, or however title you want to give yourself.
director,
But we're
producer, executive producer. He gets all the credit.
You know, just want to honor you, Ken, because I
Yes.
see the hard work. You know, I see
Behind the
that you
scenes.
actually sacrifice. You know, we were there until what time? So late, after almost
Yes.
8 when we leave Friday. I won't say where, you know, since this is public. But I've seen, you know, see firsthand the sacrifice you've made without, you know, and commitment, even more so than at first when we started this. To me, it was just like fun. We getting together, talking. Then Dr. Tracy said, you know, Jill, you got to treat this like your other business. You got to check in on the WhatsApp. But, you know, I have so many things. But every time that really speak to my spirit and minister to me, because every time, like, I feel like, you know, I can't do this. I remember when she said, you got to treat it like how you treat your other business.
Yeah.
Then when I see Ken, who pretty much is not a part of the co-host, but he's the man behind the scene and put everything together, and the, you know, the belief that he has in us. I'm like, if he's doing that, why can't I show up?
We can't
So
do it
I
out
must say, even getting dressed tonight, I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know, I have to honor you when I'm rich. You know, you're first in line.
Yeah. We're the team.
Thank you.
And not just the people that you see
Yes.
on camera. There is this very dedicated person who
Behind.
works so tirelessly for us behind the scenes. So give it up in the comments.
We're forever grateful.
Credit Kayan in the chat
Yes.
because without him, none of this would be possible.
Amen. And I'm so grateful too for Dr. Tracy and Kim also. Thank you, girls.
And we are
And I
grateful
honor
for
you. And I thank God for, you know, the favor of putting us together.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
I don't think any of this was by accident.
No, this was divine.
One day we're going to tell you guys how
entire
the
story.
whole thing even became
In depth.
a thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But stay tuned. That'll probably be like a little after chat of champagne.
Because that's a whole nother
debrief.
episode.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, none of this was planned. This was by divine design.
Intervention.
So,
And that's why we can't let down our divine creator, because he brought it together.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
All right. So here we are yet again. What is this? Episode 4?
4, correct.
Jeez. Clap it up, man. Clap it up. We keep showing up. So episode 4. Today, we are going to be diving into the concept of, I don't feel like myself anymore. Can
Interesting.
anybody relate? So, maybe I should kick it off. Want me to kick it off?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, when I thought about the topic, I don't feel like myself anymore. I thought about it from the perspective of transitioning from my 20s, because, you know, we kind of enter adulthood in your 20s. Although I felt like I thought I was an adult. I had my son at 23 and I thought I was good and grown. And life came at me hard and I realized 23, you're still a baby. You might as well be 13, don't know anything. My 20s were hard. Primarily for the reason that I chose to be a single mother at 23, because although I was in a relationship, I knew that was not the person that was destined to be my person for life. So I made the decision to walk away and take my child with me.
Of course.
I was on a path to medical school because all my life
You wanted to be a doctor?
I wanted to be a doctor.
Aww, okay.
So then when I had my son, who was a blessing,
Amen. And your only child.
and my only child, I had a moment. I was at a crossroads. I had at a juncture where I had to decide, okay, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it through med school as a single mom, especially when it got to residency and all the other things that come. It's not just being in classrooms, right? And so I struggled to kind of figure out what my life was going to look like, right? And that was probably the first time that I had a bout of depression, right? The thing about it is, culturally, we don't really talk about mental health either.
No.
Right? And as a Jamaican, who was I going to tell? Because even if I told my mom,
she'd be like, girl, what?
Right?
Go read a book. Go
read the Bible. Read a book.
There you go.
Go read the
Exactly.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right? They kind of literally just brushed you off.
Yeah.
And at that point, again, in your 20s, you're not dealing with the issues like the hormones. And I felt like I was pretty confident. But because I was suddenly knocked off my path, I didn't have any direction. So I was moving, but I wasn't sure that I was making progress. So at that point, I was doubting a lot. Right? So a lot of what I did was mechanical. Just because I knew I had to do something to keep this little human being alive. Right? And then going through school, the stress of school, as you can testify to right now.
Yeah.
Both of you are still in school. Thank God I'm out of that phase. But listen, I did 4 degrees.
Yeah, amen. Congrats. Wow.
4 degrees. And,
Awesome.
and as a single mom, every one of them accomplished. So I only say that to say I had such a roller coaster experience getting from 20s to now. So I had my moments where I looked in the mirror and I was like, who am I? What is all this for? Where am I going? And then you get into perimenopause.
Yes.
Right? And then it's like, okay, now my son is big and he's at the point now where we're not having the mother-son vacations anymore because we used to do one vacation every year. And then my identity was, okay, well, now I'm not a mother so much because now he's got his own social life. What do I do?
Right.
So remember when I talked about perimenopause being a moment of reset?
Yes.
That was the first experience for me. But then I had to sit with myself by myself and address the mental aspect of it, right? So I never got a therapist, but I found other ways to kind of, and that's one of the reasons why I'm always so busy. Like people ask me, when do you find time to do so much?
Okay, awesome. So for me, my story is different, and this is why this group is so diverse, because we all have different story to tell.
Of course.
My story, I've always been confident, always, and anyone who knows me can testify of that. I've really never had a time where I was depressed. I've had moments where I'm down, or you go through a relationship breakup or your first heartbreak, and that, trust me, that would be the first and the only one, because there would be no other. But I've never had a time where I feel not motivated, not just doing things just to go with the flow. No, I'm always confident in myself, and a part of it is, I think, I walk with the thought process that I was chosen. I don't know. I just feel like I'm special. When I look,
that's a good outlook.
When I look back on my life and I see all that God has done for me, when I see that He has never failed me, and now that I'm even more deeper in Christ, more, I'm baptized. Back then I was even baptized and I was walking with so much power and authority. And people in high school can tell you that. Even now, people say, Jill, I see where you're going to be great. Like just manifestation that I'm like, wow, but I've been seeing this. And then, now to see it coming together. So when we were preparing for this, I said to myself, God, I didn't do this by myself. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a nurse, I'm a leader. And then I'm 45 and preparing for perimenopause. So whether I'm going through the changes or not, or do I acknowledge that I'm going through, it's going to come. I'm evolving to that stage.
For sure.
And I'm glad for this platform because it's preparing me not to miss the signs, right?
Oh, you're learning from me too.
No, I am. Trust me.
No, but that's a good way to embrace it, though.
This is such a good forum, for me to listen to you guys. And, most of the time, my thought process or my views are different from yours, which makes good discussion, right? Yeah, so we appreciate that. But to my point of, I'm not at that stage, but I know it can be. I would say self-care is very, very important. And I would say to women out there, please make time to care for yourself unapologetically. Make time for yourself. I would say you want to set boundaries. So you want to pray. I as a nurse, we believe in holistic care, right? So mind, body, and soul.
Right. Yeah.
So set boundaries. You know, boundaries even for work. You know, some people, their work follows them home. I would say you have to have some boundaries where even if you have to work at a point from home, there should be a cutoff point.
Yes,
that you said, you know, I'm done with work. Work shouldn't be plaguing your home life, right? Even with friends. Sometimes you have friends like, you know, I'll tell my story. I have a very good friend, you know, and I have to set boundaries. Like after a while, certain little things that is not aligned with your spirit, you cut it off, because then it's gonna drag you on this emotional roller coaster. And at this stage, you just don't have the time for that. You know, you're going through hormonal changes. You're now seeing yourself in a different perspective. Exercise is movement is very, very important. I intentionally make it, doesn't care what is going on. And you guys know I have small children. My son just called me. I have a 7 going to be 8, and my daughter is going to be 14. And then my son, you know, even adults, you still got to be a mom.
They think
because
they're
they have their own
they're
struggles,
adult.
right?
Yeah.
So being that, then being a wife, your husband needs you, and then you're a leader in the nursing field, and then, you know, so I would say, please, you know, tap into your resources. You know, as a leader, you learn that everything you can do by yourself, you know, and I know we as boss people, but I realize that good leadership is delegating and, you know, having people, and that's how.
I was actually gonna just segue into that, because I know that you and Kim have a relationship outside of the 40ish podcast where she may be potentially considered as.
She's mine, you know.
There you go.
But whatever she want their title, I don't want to put any title on you, Kim.
Well, Kim can tell us the title. Kim can tell us her position.
She's manager of S1 Lab. She's lab tech. She's still personal person. But I love you, Kim. I love you. And Kim is very humble, and you know, like I said.
No, you use
with
that
my
word.
no
You use
because
that
with
word
my
very
person
loosely.
no with my personality, trust me, if you're my personality, we'll clash. Trust me, because I have a very strong personality, and you guys will see.
I think, like, for me personally, I surround myself with strong women. I cannot be around somebody who is gonna be like because mentally, like, I will hear everything you're saying, and I don't just take your words. Like the first episode, I told the ladies, like, I look beyond what you're saying. I look beyond what you're exuding in this presence, in this moment, because deep down behind you, you're saying something that you want somebody to hear. So it doesn't matter your delivery. I'm trying to hear what you're saying through all the anger, through all the sternness, through all the nonverbal cues. So that's where, and that's why most of my friends, they have similar. You guys are Scorpio. Most of my friends are Scorpio.
And Kim,
like, and you know, you guys can be term and term bullies. You know,
that's what they say.
No. But that's what people.
I'm gonna circle back to that, but no,
that's what people quote it to be. You know,
complete your point, because I'm gonna circle back to that.
But Kim, I'm like that you're spiritual. You know why? Because you see, as a spiritual person, you just don't look with your physical eyes what you want to say. You already see, and you know, when I'm praying, I pray for God that people will see the grace on me and want to align with that grace, not to fight
people
against
won't always see that, though.
No, but with spiritual eyes can see it, and that's what I love about
God
you.
will align you with the right person.
Amen. That will see it.
We're gonna tell you eventually all the stories, how we all three met. It's mind-boggling. But I say that to say, and I think that I've been dealing with persons. You know how sometimes you go through some stuff, but then you're angry going through it. But it's all for a purpose.
Yes, it prepares you.
It prepares you for the next step of
Preach
what's
now.
coming, right? So I've already gone through observing persons yelling, like, I'm like, what are you trying to say? You're trying to say something, so a need is not being met. Why are you talking at me? Talk to me. Talk to me. And that's where I think I've mastered. Well, probably I can still get upset every now and again. But I think that I've learned. I've learned to control it, to not meet you where you're at, but to say, all right, then what exactly do you want me to hear from what you're saying? Instead of, all right, me hear you, you know, instead of yelling back at you or getting angry back at you, it's like, all right, I am not gonna be doing this person in my 20s. In my 20s and early 30s,
Tell it.
I don't have gray areas. It's
Mhm.
either straight black or white,
Mm-hmm.
and I will give it as it is. Like I will just give it as it is, and a neat and decent. Like what I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it neat and even though she call herself ghetto, I'm sure when she's
not.
talking,
She's
she's
not.
not. She's not. She's
not.
not gonna tell
Oh
them
my
all
God.
the
I like to
all
think
the
that you
upside,
are.
flip side
But
words
I
that
kinda
I would
know where
tell
that
people.
comes
Okay,
from.
many are the
Patience.
and they hear them just because they never hear the sea view coming out and the
No,
river
no,
City
many of the
and the
patience.
bed. They never
Okay.
hear the part, but some things is better left alone. Okay.
Can testify. Right? Can you testify? Can you
Well, no, here's the
testify?
thing. So here's the thing. I have always, I've never expressed it to you, but I can tell you now that one of the things that I absolutely admire about you is that you have no shame in proclaiming where you are, and you really are the embodiment of not being a product of your environment, right?
Right.
Because you
Amen.
always credit that you were raised in Seaview Gardens, and if anybody knows anything about Jamaica,
And CV
historically, it has a reputation of not being a very
But not even
prestigious
Sea View.
area.
Let's talk about
Wait,
Riverton
hold on.
City, which is a dump.
Right. And
Hello.
Riverton City is where the city dump is. Literally all the garbage
Yeah.
goes there, right?
Okay.
And so you essentially personify the concept of not becoming a product of your environment.
Yes.
And that's to be commended, right? And also credit goes to your parents, because when people are limited by economic means, it doesn't mean
Right.
that within the house. So the house itself is in Seaview Gardens, but what's being taught, the seeds that are being planted in that home, because now it's not just a house,
That's the foundation.
it's a home.
Yeah.
You create the foundation.
Mhm.
You plant the seeds in the minds of your children. And so they were permitted, you and your siblings were permitted to dream beyond what you could see.
Right.
Right?
Thank
So
you.
all credit goes to your parents first and foremost.
Well put
But
together. That's why I
also-
like when Tracy sums it up, because
She
she
puts it all together.
I think it, and she just put it together. So thank you very much. That's exactly what I would want to say.
But I also want to double back to your point about the bullying
Yes.
thing, right?
Yes.
So personality, if you remember an episode, what was that? Episode 2, I think. I mentioned to you that people used to always tell me that as soon as the breeze blew, I cry. I was never considered a bully. And I can tell you this, and I'm going to say it on camera. I can still name my bullies. I was bullied terribly as a child at Alpha Academy High School. Terribly. Not just with words, but with hands.
I wonder if I was a bully.
But good question. And I say that only because at 51 years old, I see my bullies on social media, and there are moments where I want to say to them, do you even know what you did?
No. Wow.
So the fact that you think.
So I think this is a perfect moment of support and maybe changes in our perimenopausal changes, because
It's not
obviously
that. It's just
I think so
much.
This is coming from childhood.
Yes,
because
it's raising awareness
Yes.
to bullying in school.
also,
But I think the pain never goes away.
It never goes away.
if it's
It
left
caused the
unresolved,
trauma.
if it's left unresolved,
I mean,
so that's why I'm saying that
I've
maybe
forgiven them.
you
I've
still
forgiven
need-
them, but I've also wished so many times that I could be in a room like this just to express
space.
to them and to hear from them, because I always wonder if they ever think back the way I think.
Right.
Just to know if they're socially and emotionally, because now they're mothers too, because they post their children. And so there's a part of me, the little girl in me, still wonders what they would do if their children were being bullied.
Yeah.
Chances are, though, I want you to say something after I'm done. Chances are, it's like Jill said,
Can you?
they're probably even wondering
Oh,
to
now we
themselves,
lost the tissue.
because they probably don't even realize that they were bullied.
Thank you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
They knew. They know when they pull you here and when they.
They
know when they hit
they
you.
knew what they were doing.
No, you know what?
Oh.
I gotta explain it to you.
They're aware of what they were doing at the time, but as to whether or not they were bullies,
They didn't understand the terminology of
because
it's time
to
to
them,
be.
this person, to them, they were in a clique, right?
Yes.
and this clique didn't like this person.
Yeah.
And they were doing what this clique was supposed to do.
And they probably didn't like this person because they wanted to be this person.
A lot of reasons.
And I think that now, because I see them on social media and they see me on social media, I think that's probably what it is. But when you're a child and you're experiencing it, you don't process it that way.
You don't process it like that.
And you know what? This is a whole nother topic of that, you know, is very important. And, you know, because I have a daughter too, and a part of, you know, being a mother and trying to train, my daughter doesn't have the confidence I have. But not to sway from our topic today, I just want to say, Dr. Tracy, is that our stage that we're at, and you know, for your experience, you experience this, you know, years, and it's still emotional to get you like this. I think, you know, I mean, however way, if you ever feel like to talk about this, I'm here. You can talk. You know, I have a stronger personality that, you know, than Dr. Tracy, but I'm saying, yeah, I do. I am very strong. Like nobody can bully me. That's number one. Nobody. I'm telling you, I'm too powerful for anybody. But I'm saying I'm here because because this is a stage that you really need that outlet. You really need that support. So I just want to say, you know, I'm here for you. You know, if this is something that still bothers you, I'm not a professional therapist, but I'm a nurse. I'm a spiritual person. I know what the Bible says about me. And I know that the Bible also said, you know, forgiveness is not for you. It's not for them. It's for you.
Which is why I can say I have actually forgiven them.
You know, let go. But also empowering yourself too, that when you look back, you can see, you know what? Let me see how that made me a better person.
Oh, I can see it.
Let me see how that motivated me, and just look at, and that's how I am. Any bad situation, I look on the positive
side.
Like I tell you, when they were trying to attack me, you know, at my hospital, when I was doing the scrubs and the TikTok, and for my revenge, it was success. It was like, okay, I am going to show you that I am unstoppable. And I
so you
did
remember
that.
when I told you about the research paper and the professor that that was the mindset.
Right.
And so, that's what made me graduate with honors, because at that point I was like, oh, I'm going to show you. I had a reason. And I had a purpose.
So these negative situations in my past, whether it's relationship, whether it's people saying, oh, look at her, she thinks she's all that, and you know, this is gonna happen to her, or that, I will counter that with success. And like I said, everybody is different. And my daughter, I realized my daughter personality is not like mine. And sometimes I was telling, because she even back to the bully thing, which I know that's a whole nother topic. But I try to empower her, like, look, when I was in school, can nobody tell me I was ugly? Even if I was ugly, or
you're gonna claim that title.
No, you know. So that's why I said, when Tracy's speaking, what if I was a bully? Because my personality was so strong that you know. So
you don't know how you affected.
Right.
You came off
but I do believe that maybe you need to talk some more and emotionally, maybe spiritually.
It doesn't really come up too often, but when it does,
it comes.
And given that, you know, it's so ironic thinking about it now. Your dad was a police officer, and you still felt that way, even though you had this big, strong man with a gun on his waist. Like, you still.
But you also have to remember too that, you know, as kids, and especially growing up in Jamaica, they don't really encourage you to come sit down. Tell me how your day was today. What's going? Their focus is, okay, it's 6 o'clock. I'm gonna cook dinner. You do the homework, and it was very scheduled and routine. There was no purging, so to speak. You know what I mean? But it's interesting because of that experience, now as an adult, I cannot be bullied, and I'm often and always the advocate for the underdog.
Right.
I will lose it if I see somebody else being bullied.
Listen,
and that's because I know what it feels like.
And Dr. Tracy, let me tell you something. If you ever make me cry, it's worth war. If you ever let me shed a tear, because you know I don't cry. So if you make me cry, better prepare, because something awful is coming. But you know what? I want to go back to Kim, because I really want to know your thought on the question,
on the topic
question.
I don't feel like myself anymore.
Yes.
So, I've had some real trying experiences in life. When I first got involved with my son's father, that was the first downhill for me, because running away from, I didn't know myself yet. I just know that I'm a teenager. Feel like maybe woman know. Feel like I know it all. Like that was the mindset. He was he was 7 years older than me, 6 or 7 years older than me, and he.
How old were you, for context?
I was graduating from high school.
Okay, so you were still a baby.
She doesn't want to say her age. Okay. She was bad.
Graduating from high school. So and he was a controlling person. So it's like I never really had the time to ever feel like myself. And that's why throughout the years, the 20s, the 30s, and I'm gonna speak my truth. I've made bad decisions in picking men. So feeling myself or feeling like myself is just starting now at 40. So throughout those ages and those stages of my life, come back to that same statement. Yeah. I have never really felt like I am doing what Kim chose to do. I've always had to not feel like myself, even though I know there's always this thing burning inside of me, because I'm always trying to push for something. In Jamaica, I was always doing fish fries, events, doing stuff. Like I used to go to Carnival. I used to rebel, because I never used to rebel. I would do the next best thing to rebel. I'll marshal. So you know the person's on the outside with the security, because Helen Powder House, if the person I'm seeing ever thought that, oh, that's what you're wearing, da 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 da. No, one time they had a foam party at mass camp, and I went, cut up the shots and everything. Big fight. But anyways.
And you were very pretty too. Beautiful. I mean, you're still pretty.
The insecurities was always there. The insecurity was always there.
But let me ask you, on that topic, now, because you shared with us last week that you're going through a divorce, right? How do you think, because now this is a pivotal point for you, right? In considering I don't feel like myself anymore, do you have any idea of what the after is going to look like? Have you taken a moment?
Because it has to feel good. It has to feel good. Like it can't get worse.
Especially with you, especially with you just saying that you dated.
But she summed it up perfectly in the first episode, because I was listening attentively. You said self-awareness. Now you're in tune with yourself. So I think you're prepared, so to speak.
Yes, I am
for the next phase.
I am just loving and looking forward to the next 10 years of my life and beyond. Everything already feels so organically coming together with blessings and with...
So you're more confident now than your 20s, is what you...
I've always been confident, but when it comes to picking partner and being inside relationship, being within these contexts, these controlling contexts, it's like there's a part of me that get lost. But if you talk to anybody outside of those contexts, Kim is a happy they would never see that.
So would you then say...
Unless you're close to me.
Would you then say that you made it a habit, whether consciously or subconsciously, to dim your light
when it comes to being in these relationships?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me your why.
Do I want to get in my way?
No, you don't have to. No, you don't have to.
That's I'm thinking back on a lot of upbringing and ways that I saw around me, and the lack of communication, the lack of instilling those self-awareness and high self-esteem, awareness, those things, a lack of instilling those things. So I was the type of person that learned on the fly. I was the kind of person that you gotta know how to manipulate these situations so it works in your favor. So we understand the concept of giving a little so I can get a lot. So when it comes to certain things, and I was
you don't have to.
It's comfortable. But it's going.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
No,
you don't. You really don't.
I've put myself in situations where my auntie used to tell me, "Man, I'll kill you," because, of course, I understand what you want, and that's why I was saying when we had that Riverton talk that you can say, I'm going to get what I want out of it regardless. So, but we're not going to do the controlling thing. We're not going to be the ownership thing. We're not going to do the relationship thing. Just understand that. And that's why I fled I fled away from a lot of things, because I know how I get once I'm in it. Once I'm in it, then Kim starts dimming her light. And again, to answer your question, Tracy, it goes a lot back to my upbringing and the environment and the expectations. You had to not be this person that you are, not be this beautiful soul that you are, and you always had to be the one fixing the problems, correcting this one. So again, and I was talking to my therapist about it, it's a learned pattern, it's a learned behavior. So you get stuck in it 10 years, 20 years, and you realize the patterns, and you've dimmed your light so much that you don't know yourself. You see what I'm saying? So coming into this awareness that I've spent 20 years of my life pleasing others, doing what is right for others, and I said this to my best friend one time, the less time you spend doing what you're called to do, your God-given purpose, the less time you will have to actually show up as your God-given woman.
Amen. Amen.
Yes. So
we thank God for your,
and I'm glad that you evolved.
Yeah.
You evolved, and I'm glad that you're prepared for your next phase or next stage.
Preparing, because
she's prepared.
It's a process.
Okay. Yes, it's definitely a process, because that learned behavior to unlearn the cycles and the patterns. It takes, remember, 20 years ago. 20 years. I grew up seeing an abusive relationship. I grew up seeing a submissive mother. To what conditions were you submitting under? You know, certain things.
Wow. Now that you're here, right, in terms of being self-aware and recognizing that you didn't have that with your mom, are you ever, or would you ever consider having a conversation like this with your mom? Does your mom know you as an adult woman, or does she still see you as her daughter, baby Kim?
Both.
Or how's the relationship with your mom, so to speak?
We talk every day, but I'll ask her a certain question. She'll tell me, a long time there's something happening on my own. She'll tell me. She'll try to, even this week,
your mom is
even this week I did it still. She's still learning, and she's at a point where she's living for her grandkids. So I'll tell her certain things and talk to her about certain things. Because again, we grew up, and my mom went through a lot herself, because we're sexualized as sexual images in Jamaica. And my mom had brown like Jill, voluptuous, shapy, you know, and beautiful. So growing up, she was very sexualized. It was something that she probably had her own learned behaviors and her own learned ways of being. So even this week, I called her, Mommy. I said, Mommy, you remember when you had to take me to get evaluated in school when I was in Alpha? And she said, yeah, because they'll kick you out because you'd have failed and you never come to school on time. Because there was a period of time my dad stopped taking me to school, and I would stand up a crossroad. I wait for the bus. You know, wait for the last bus, the last minute.
Yeah,
come here, meet the friend them, and the KC friend them, and the George's friend them.
Oh, yes, honey.
Yes. So we would stand out there until the last bus.
Shout out to KC and George's. Okay.
Fortis forever.
Fortis forever. I'm done with you on this KC.
So, they were bad people. I would forget about that. They're just because in my home.
Remember, I was dropped off and picked up. I ain't really have the luxury.
So I
didn't have the luxury. But
I mean, even though I had boyfriend and stuff, but it has to be hidden because my dad was, you know, get a man, you know, and he made sure to tell you, if you get pregnant in school, forget it, you're dead. And so I live with that fear that if I get pregnant,
I didn't have the luxury.
It does. Yeah.
And you know what? Even though I used to link up with those boys at the bus stop and so on, Casey and George's, my first boyfriend was a Jamaica college boy.
Oh,
my first boyfriend was
at Crossroads.
No.
All right, leave the Jamaica college conversation for another time. No. That sound like that just open one of poor Pandora's box. I don't want to know.
No, we don't want to go there right now, but yes.
All right. But, so you tell me, in terms of, because I know you said your daughter has a different personality than you. Can you share with us how you are trying to reinforce her personality,
Oh God.
so that
So
she doesn't get bullied.
It's been difficult. I try to empower her. She does have acne and some, bump on her face. And she said, "Mom, you don't understand. They'll because she wears a lot of makeup." And I said, don't put too much. Let your face breathe. And then she said, "Mom, but you don't understand. They're gonna say," I said, "What? What?" I said, "Tell them, even with the bump on your face, they'll never look like you."
But see, even in making that statement, you have to have a level of confidence.
Oh,
if
that's me. Yeah,
but that's you.
Yeah,
but that's not your daughter.
So I try to empower her that way by telling her, "Sully, you're beautiful, and trust me, they can never look like you." But again, confidence also sometimes come from within, or you have to experience it within. She has to see it herself, because I can say 10 million times,
right?
If she doesn't look in the mirror and said, "Oh, I see what my mom is saying, I'm beautiful," she's not going to be at that level. So again, I allow them to go to church every Sunday, because also I know, spiritual teaching is very good too in instilling reinforcing
fearfully
certain
and wonderfully made,
right? Exactly, everything that God says about you, He makes you perfect, So I tried that, but like I said, she's book smart, very book smart, but street smart she's not.
Very
remember,
innocent.
I'm street smart. I'm book and street.
Do you think there's a cultural aspect to the difference between you and your daughter? You being raised in Seaview, and I'm not sure where you raised her. Was it,
I wonder if my sisters are like me, because, I was raised with my sister, and I wonder if they're this confident as well. I know maybe one of my other sisters is. So I'm not sure if, my surrounding, whether the
nature versus nurture.
Right.
Nature versus nurture.
A little of both. I would say that, both plays a role in, my personality. I don't know, but I remember at my wedding, my godmother said, she remember when I was 2 and I walked in the room, the confidence that I walked in with, she gave this speech at my wedding, and she said she just know that I was, just going to be something, because I just walked with this confidence from that stage. And now it's even worse.
So to that point though, so then we circle back to the nature versus nurture, right? Because I remember I'm the second child. And my mom will always say that my older sister and I were only a year apart, but we were so different. She was that clingy baby, needed attention. As soon as my mom got in the room, she was hugging her leg. And I was the child that was always autonomous. I was always very confident, comfortable. They used to tell her that they had to watch me because I would be the one that people would steal. I was not the child that she said she would literally have to be looking for me when she got home, because unlike my sister who would meet her at the door, I was
be the quiet.
By the way, the amount of beating I used to get, because when my dad came to pick us up, my sister was always diligently standing at the gate. Me did I play that, Shandy? Crack up is a 10.
I tell you,
bad people. And for that, I used to get beaten, because he used to be so frustrated that he would have to park the car, come out the car, grab my sister, who was, and the other thing is, my mother used to say she would always come home clean, all her ribbon, her shirt, everything intact. Me come home like dirty bus. Like dirty bus.
I don't know if you guys.
So I don't know. I feel like that's a personality thing, right? Because that was just my personality from birth, based on what she said.
So my personality, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but if you're emotionally weak, I don't know. I don't know. It just does something to me for emotionally weak person, because I'm so, strong in my spirit. Like, okay, I can give you a perfect example. Like my son. And I don't think any of my children are like I am. My son, his birthday just passed, and he called me. I guess my aunt called him and said, "Oh, what are you doing for your birthday?" I mean, I'm so busy, whatever. So he calls me like, "Mom, how you didn't say what I'm doing for my birthday?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" It's like, cause I don't hear you saying anything, and I'm like, "No, Kill. Even if nobody remembers my birthday, I remember my birthday. It just does something to my spirit."
But you have to give grace to the persons who you have to remember, everybody's you're
different. That's what I have to
right, right, and what
consideration.
you have to remember too is whether it's your child or someone else, you know, how you respond to their natural state of being can be either a negative or a positive, right? Because we recognize that you're very secure in yourself and nobody can knock you off your box. But even in responding like that to your son, who we know there's limitless love, that is a moment where, unbeknownst to you, he could walk away with that response playing in his head, and it doesn't necessarily have.
And trust me, and the conversation went down, and I tell him, I said,
there you go.
And I told him exactly like it is. I said, listen, you have to. You're 25. You have to now embrace that. If nobody remembers your birthday or celebrate you, including me, you got to do that for yourself. You know, so. You know,
I think some of it.
Like I mean, everyone is different.
That you have the conversation with them too, because again, even me looking back, he's still a baby. Yeah. Your son is still a baby,
like
right?
I said, I still have to be a mother.
Mine is 28, and I know he thinks he's good and grown, but every once in a while, I'm like, bro, you 28. Why would? But boys inherently are slower in terms of emotional development and independence and all of that stuff, right? Yeah. But, you know, to sum it all up, I'm happy that, you know, I think regardless of our own individual experiences, we've become 3 successful women sitting on a platform where we can empower, and then other people can see themselves in us. Amen. Right? Yeah. And recognize that no matter where you are in life, what stage you are in life, or what your personal situation is, you can always overcome, right? Yeah.
Emotionally, spiritually, physically,
all of it. Yes. All of it. Because we're here as living testimonies.
Yes. Right. You know? And as you can see, 3 diverse women. You know, you can see that our personalities are different. You know, we're
our upbringing, our backgrounds,
different. But that's why I truly believe that God is using us, because there's so many things that we can share. We have lived a little, and you know, we can share with persons whether you know, in their 30s or younger or older.
Or persons going through it. I was watching a clip today with Haley Bailey, or Black Mermaid Girl, and her
son's father,
DDG.
The son's father.
And how abusive and manipulative he was to her. Like, you know, like pretty girls go through so much sometimes. And that's why it's important for us to understand the importance of the self-esteem, instilling it, rebuilding it, instead of having this comparison to people and then hiding it. Because my parents didn't know what I was going through. I don't talk to them about these things. I don't talk to them about my weaknesses or the things that I might have experience, the abuse, the verbal, the physical abuse. I don't talk to them about those things. But then I saw my mom going through physical abuse too. So it was exactly so that repetitive cycle then followed me. It followed suit with me. So it's like I learned, we can't do this. I now have a daughter.
To bring that
8 years old. We are not going to do this. We're not going to allow. And I had to declare it and put in the atmosphere. It ends with me. I've paid all dues that is owed to that lifestyle. It ends with me. Amen. We're not doing that.
Amen. Interesting that you say that, because I had shared with you guys that my parents, when I look at them, like I said, I don't even know how they got together, but whatever. Those 2 got together, they got married, they had 4 kids. And
they did their thing.
Then they got divorced, right? And here I am.
Yes.
But I was in the household, to your point. I don't remember them having like a loving, affectionate, you know, relationship at any point. And that's why I question how they even became an item. That being said, when I looked at how they looked from a very young age, I knew that A, I was never going to be with a man who was going to be all over the place. And B, I would never stay in a situation that doesn't affirm me. So I know you question a lot. You think that I throw away relationships.
Too easy to give up, and relationship takes work.
I wouldn't say it's too easy.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's too easy. But if you reference my childhood, I made a decision. I'm not going to stay in a position where, and I could, looking back at it as an adult, my mom was hurting. Because imagine, you have your husband and you're home with the kids, and And you know what he's doing.
Yeah,
it's not like it's a mystery.
Yeah, I
You
think
know what he's doing. It had to have killed her confidence,
yeah, I
right?
think within our culture, a lot of that happens.
And you
a lot
start
of time,
measuring it yourself.
it's-
You
But
start
then for me,
comparing.
I started to say, but then why did you stay? You
Yeah.
stayed long enough to have 4 kids.
Yeah.
Why did
Yeah.
you stay? But then again, could it be? Could it be? And I don't know. But could it be that she just didn't have the confidence to branch out on her own?
Yeah.
I'm
She
thinking.
felt like she wasn't going to make it without this
And
man.
remember, at that point, she would not have felt like herself anymore after having 4
4
kids.
kids,
Being
exactly.
married, she's probably thinking, I'm not as young as I used to be.
The body changes.
The body has
the
changed.
hormones,
I've had
yep.
4 children. You know how the stigma
Mhm.
in Jamaica is because of the lack of
Mhm.
knowledge. Even though she was a nurse, the lack of knowledge. Oh, my body probably this. You know, there's stigma attached to or body images.
Right.
So her thinking that I can survive, go out there and meet a man who's going to love me with this new body and 4 daughters.
And 4 kids.
You know,
Yep.
it's
So sharing with persons out there or women at this stage of our life, we have to see how best what information we can share in preparing
Right.
these women, for all the stressors in life, and then also the hormonal changes. So
Right.
and I think a part of it is that we can, like you said, the preparation is an ongoing process. So even though and you
may
can't
not be there yet.
right, and you might not be 100%, prepared. You would never be, because it's always ongoing.
Yeah.
So we know that self-confidence very, very important.
Yes.
Whether if they're not there, however, whether a psychologist to speak to someone, or because even though that was in our parents' days, but maybe they're women going through the same thing
Right
now.
now.
of course
You know,
they are. I
fighting
just referred
identity
to Haley Bailey, and she's
Yes.
a beautiful, iconic
That
woman. You know,
girl,
so
Very
Yeah.
successful. And that's the other
Yeah.
thing
So,
too,
yes,
right? Very
regardless of-
often it happens to successful women.
Mhm.
And because you see them as being these successful human beings in their own right, sometimes we don't give them grace to falter.
Yeah, to be human.
Or
be
to
human.
show that,
Yeah,
there you go,
yeah,
to be
yeah,
human,
right.
to show the
Yeah.
human side of it.
But
So,
I really do think more than anything else, the spiritual aspect of things is very
Yes.
important.
Yes.
Because that's what keeps me grounded.
Mhm.
That's what
So
reminds me.
interesting. So let me
Yeah.
ask you a question, right? Because we know that we're in a time now where even very often we see pastors and preachers on social media being charged with things that are just not pastorally
Right. So
or
they're not real,
preacherly.
they're
right?
not- mhm.
But let's just say you encounter someone who has an aversion to religion. They're still human, right? But for whatever reason, they just don't want to hear about church and God and whatever. And they're going through the same stage of life that we're talking to. I know that we can connect on the spiritual aspect because we were raised in church.
Right.
But what advice would you give to someone who, let's say, would identify as an atheist or an agnostic?
And going through, because
Yeah.
if they're
the
Right?
hormonal changes.
okay, so if they're going through life stressors or just harm, well, then it
general,
comes
yeah.
as a role. And if they're going through a challenging situation, I would say, well, we need to try something different and try what I try that, makes me who I am and that's confident. No, but I'm just saying, because if they're trying everything, they're atheists, right? And they're trying everything else and they can't find a solution.
So let me be
try what I try.
So let me be the devil's advocate and flip it.
Mhm.
What if I've always been in church and I've been such a quote unquote good girl and I've done everything by the book, and I still feel myself in a space and a place where I'm asking myself, why do I feel like this? I just don't feel like myself anymore. I'm going through the emotional roller coaster of life, the hormonal changes. I don't feel like people understand me.
So-
people don't see me
Yeah.
for who I am.
So you need a balance. You
and the
need
church is
medical-
not doing
No,
it
you
for
need,
me.
remember, the church alone
So
won't
tell
help.
me, yeah.
Spiritual, you need physiological help too, because remember, your body is actually going through a change.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you need a chemical intervention, you need a balance. So, and my church embraced that. Like my bishop would tell you, I do my physical every year. So it's not just only the spiritual aspect.
You all should be taking care of your health, and it's imperative to
And
check in
well,
with your
physical.
primary care physician once a year.
Amen.
Carry on.
So I don't like when let me just correct this to be political correct. if you believe in God and you're in church, and you're also supposed to take care of your health. You can't have the hypertension and say God is going to heal me.
I agree.
I'm not practicing healthy lifestyle. You can't have the diabetes and say God is going to heal me. And you're eating everything in the world, all the sweet stuff, and you're sitting there and you're gaining all this weight, and you're sitting there and praying and say, Holy Ghost, God is going to heal me. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that.
I agree. Right. So you don't lose yourself in a practical sense, is what you're saying.
Right. And so spirituality goes according with physical or medical aspect of things. It's a balance. But I am saying too, spirituality is supposed to take priority, because that would keep you aligned too, to maintain the physical aspect of things. It will give you the wisdom and the discernment to know that, hey, listen, God made me to take care of myself. And that now would make you start seeking different outlet or resources for self-care. It's so simple. And once you recognize these systems of life, which that's why I said, oh, God bless my bishop, because this man is such a great spiritual teacher, great leader. And mind you, I was always confident. So just imagine with his teaching now, the level that I'm at right now, I feel like I can do everything. I feel like I'm created to do great things.
Yeah, and you are.
And then I'm grateful that God aligned me with people like you guys. Like I said, I was just looking at this as just a conversation. And then when Tracy started ministering to me and telling me, so even though I know I have it, but still sometimes you need reminders.
Yes. And need somebody to pull it out.
Yes, and God send those people. Look, when I met you and I told you I have the lab sitting here and whatever. So sometimes God will send those reinforcements. And that's why I said certain things you cannot do by yourself. People would ask me and they said, Jill, you do this and you do that. And I said, it's not me. I didn't take credit.
That's right.
I can never take credit for the things that I do. It's only God. Because if I tell you, oh, God aligned people
how many times I've said that.
to just bring forth what needs to be done. And he does. He reminds me. And this is why I said the spiritual aspect of things should take priority. That's what I think. Because that will give you the wisdom, the knowledge, and the
But again, I'm going to always play devil's advocate, right? Because we're building a platform for a broad audience, right? And maybe we will be the vessels to convert some of the non-believers into believing. Who knows? Again, wherever this is going to end up, it's not up to us. It's God. Wherever it goes, we're just planting the seeds and we're putting it out, right? But I'm always going to try to be inclusive. Right, so I hope you
but
receive
just to go off of that, the inclusivity. If a person who they could be, or belief might not be their belief, they might be a Jew, they might be Islam.
There you go.
So a general way for get back to self, journaling, journaling, and making sure you can connect with the feeling. Allow yourself to feel what you're feeling in the moment, like. You're going through anxiety. Stop. What made this feeling come on? Why am I feeling? Ask yourself
meditation.
Questions. Meditation helps a lot.
Meditation is very important.
Reflecting helps. Read a book. It doesn't have to be the Bible. It doesn't have to be the Quran. It doesn't have to be something. But inspiration is all around us. It's all around us.
That's
all right.
The beauty of having cell phones now.
All right.
Right.
So how does self-awareness, or the main question of who I am, I don't feel like myself, how does that can affect relationship, and also how can being confident like I am affect relationship? And so, I can go first if you want the confident part, or let's go with the emotional.
No, let's go to Kim. Let's throw it to Kim.
Not feeling like yourself and you're in a relationship, it can drown. It can drown the relationship. It can drown you as a person. It can drown and then even submerge into your children, because if I'm not feeling like myself, I can't show up as myself every day. And it's funny, my son identified that. One year he said to me, Mommy, what are you doing for your birthday? Every year for my birthday, nobody never asks me questions. I am going out. I am getting dressed up. Even if I am not going out, my hair is going to be done. My nails is going to be done. Kim is going to be dolled up. Even if we're not going nowhere. So my son identified and noticed, Mommy, you're not doing these things no more. What's going on?
Right.
I was in a situation where And remember, I'm married. I was in a marriage.
Yeah.
So it's like, typically you would expect the person to be, remember to take you on.
Right.
And if it's not on my birthday, I am not celebrating. If you're celebrating my birthday, it's on my birthday.
You can't wait till after. That's me.
I wasn't born on the day after.
Hello?
I wasn't born on the day after, so people always know that about me, and they're like, Kim, you're not keeping birthday party. If I'm keeping a party, then we can,
Yeah, but you have to do something on the day
on
off.
my day of birth. That's the day I was born. That's the day I'm gonna celebrate it. We celebrate Jesus on the 25th. We don't even know if I'm real birthday, but
we have a date.
We have a date, and we sacrifice the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I feel the same way. So you know what? Not compare myself to Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
But it can damper 100% within the relationship if one person is feeling less than themselves and the other one, it could be emasculating or defeminizing to a person.
Okay, and then so on the confidence side, which I am very much so, it can also affect and impact your relationship. I'm a strong personality. Brian is also a strong personality, but then he's a man. And, sometimes I have to slow down, look into myself, but not to lose myself anyway, but I have to also acknowledge that, hey, he's my husband. He's also a man. He has made so many sacrificed so much for me. And because throughout our relationship, I've earned like maybe 3 of my degrees is throughout our relationship. And so sometimes I have to pause, so to speak, and said, you know what, that comes off a little strong. So you have to find being confident too, but also being aware of your, whether it's marriage or relationship, you also, because like I tell it, even with one of my friends, like I don't know, when you're too emotional and you come at me certain way. So you want to be aware of that also. And then also with the perimenopausal can set your mood apart. And you know what's important? Sleep. Because then when you start you start experiencing these changes, you start rest becomes important, because then you start experiencing insomnia, and then that would set your mood off balance. So with the hormonal changes, your mood started to be affected. So we have to be mindful of that. But with my confidence, it affect my relationship sometimes, and sometimes I have to be aware of it. I'm a go-getter. Once I think of something, I'm running with it, and Brian doesn't like that, because he, even just before this show, a little earlier, we were having like a very intense conversation, and he said, Jill, if you were in my shoes, you would have been leave this marriage. Thank God I am who I am, and we're able to work through stuff, because like I said, again, my personality is so strong, but not that it's overstep. Sometimes I have to like control myself.
For being humble enough to admit that.
And spiritual, again, back to my spirituality. But Brian says to me, which is important, and this is why I love marriage and I love relationship, because the Bible said 2 are better than 1, right? Yes, so Brian said to me, Jill, and you know what happened when you do this thing? It falls back on me, because he's saying he has to pick it up. And there are other examples I could give. Example, even with this place that we're hosting this podcast in. I wanted to do business with other persons, and even though Brian's view was a little different, he wanted it to be, we're married, it should be us. And then I'm very loyal to people. So if someone helped me to a stage and I feel like, you know what, I have to honor that person, right? Because I'm just loyal by nature. And so I wanted to do it with someone else. And when the person falls out, and I asked Brian, he didn't want to do it.
Pick it up, because you know why? Because you overlooked them in the beginning.
Yes. And he's saying, so I said, Brian, but I'm not your enemy. At that point, you have to see that I'm your wife.
But you should have seen that was your husband.
I saw it, but I didn't see it.
You're looking at it afterthought.
Yes, afterthought.
And so he was
the whole standards,
feeling something about it, but never said it to you.
And I said that to him.
for the bottom to fall out, you came running
right.
back.
And so
And when he came back,
it was firm and said no.
Yes,
and
he
I
did.
respect that.
And then I said, listen, you have to, because I said, God led me to this place and we're getting it.
Oh my goodness.
And thank God. And oh my God, God bless Brian. You know, God bless him. But Brian is such a real person.
That speaks to when you find your person, you have to have a balance, right? And for me personally, I've had several long-term relationships, right? My relationships, I've been in 10-year relationships, 12-year relationships, right? So it speaks to the fact that I'm very loyal, and once I lock in, right? So I don't necessarily throw relationships away so easily.
Oh, thank God.
Contrary to your belief. However, and again, this comes with a level of maturity. I'm at the stage where I will not agree to a relationship with someone who doesn't align with where I am going and what I want and who I am.
Alignment
right?
is very important. Yes.
Again, age gap has been established, right? You know my person is 12 years younger. However, mentally mature, established in his own right. He's a detective in his profession. He has his own home. He's focused on building his life. And just like he doesn't need anyone to complete him. No. He just needs a partner.
So we're coming together.
I don't need anyone to complete me.
Of course.
However, to address your point about the strong personality, I know I'm a strong personality, but when I'm in relationship, I understand that it's God, man, woman. And so that's always my thing. If I have a discussion with my other half, and he says, but you know, babe, I really don't think that we want to go down that path. Okay, honey, we'll have a discussion about your why. I'll submit my why, and then we'll get to a meeting place in the middle, something that works for both of us. We don't argue, we don't debate, and I respect him as the man in the relationship.
And it should be as such. I strongly believe it should be that way.
So I'll be a very strong force in any room that I'm in. But once my husband is present, or my other partner, my other half, rather, is present, I understand it's God, it's him, it's me. So if both of us are in the room, there's no bumping heads. You know what I mean?
So can I? So let me just share.
You're one.
And I know we're going to closing, but I just want to say, and you know, we can have a whole different episode on these type of topics. So Brian thing, the conversation that we're having today was about, so if you're having a business, right, he truly believes that it should be both husband and wife, you know, on the business venture. And my belief is, you're my husband, so we're one unit. So if I'm,
you don't have to be on the paperwork,
and he doesn't believe that. He believes that it should be, you know, so it should be me and him. And
but let me ask you though, why would he take that perspective? And the reason I'm asking why relative to the business is because I understand it from an investment perspective, right? When you have assets, right, you're equally invested, and you have skin in the game. Both of you have a lot to lose if it's like talking about a house.
So I don't think it's like assets per se, like to split it. It's more like, okay, we're husband and wife, and so we should be doing things together. Right? Everything. Like he wants it to be together, and you know, looking on it, I said, you know, I'm trying to show him, like, listen, because I know
if you win, he wins.
I know I'm going to go places, right?
And wherever you go, he's going.
Right. I know this is just the beginning of things. And I said, Brian, listen, don't think if I'm traveling to somewhere, I want you there, because I see us as one.
Question. Do you think he's struggling then with probably not wanting to live in your shadow? Pause.
You know,
before you answer, process what I'm asking you.
No, I do process it, because you know, obviously maybe I've thought that myself, but Brian is successful in his own right. He's a police sergeant, so it's not like he's, you know, and I'm preparing to be a lieutenant. I'm preparing him because he doesn't see himself there, but I don't want to be the one growing.
But how
doesn't want to, because and I'm telling him, you know,
so here we are, Kim.
But listen, let me just say this point. I do believe if you're in a relationship, you both should be evolving.
I agree.
You both should be evolving. I don't want to be the only one getting a doctorate, being this, being that, starting a podcast, writing a book. I don't want to be the only one. I want him to be. I understand that, and I respect that. I respect that. However, at what cost, right? You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're
because
saying.
You just made the statement that he doesn't want to be.
Brian, okay,
no, I don't think like he doesn't want to be a lieutenant, but you see, because my mindset is bigger and my vision is bigger than, you know, so I'm preparing like, okay, what's your next step? Because I know I'm preparing to go to greater heights. So in wanting him to build as well, I'm like, Brian, do you see yourself as a, because that's the next stage. And he's like, oh, Jill, they don't make the money, you know, and, you know, but I'm like, listen, I'm advancing. I want you to advance. And I think a healthy relation. Why
do you want him to advance?
Because I think when you're in a relationship, and I've encouraged my friend like this, I hate when my friends are in a relationship, the husband is getting 3 masters and you're still a CNA. No, because yes, this might be a faithful relationship and everything, but this is life, real life, and anything can happen.
I see your face. What's your perspective?
No, I'm listening to her because, and this is important for you to ask. What do you want, Brian? I want to see you succeed and rise higher. I want you to go higher. What do you want? Like, that's a question you should allow him.
Okay, that's the hypothetical question. I'm going to beat Brian for a second. You know, I feel like I'm comfortable where I am. I don't really think that there's any significant financial gain to moving up to lieutenant.
Not necessarily lieutenant. What else do you want for your life? Do you want
there you go.
What else do you want for your life? Do you want to invest in real estate? Do you want to be a landlord? There's buildings around, like we can do that. We can make that happen.
How would that
with my connections and your
so then Brian says, okay, so he's like, Jill, like for hypothetically, say I have a security firm and you know I was making all the decisions. Wait. So I said, but that's not a bad idea, Brian. Maybe you could start a security firm. And then he's like, oh no, too much liability. I said, see how we're different? See me, I would have just run with that thought and be like, hey, a security firm, and jump on that. You see, so that's how.
So I say that, and I'm glad we had that little moment, because to hear you say, oh, I'm preparing him to be a lieutenant, even though he doesn't. No,
not preparing, but I'm trying to.
Just using your words. That's what you said.
No, not preparing. I said, you know, for him to see the next step, the next elevation.
I understand what you're trying to communicate. You're trying to get him to think, okay, babe, you're still ascending. Mm-hmm. What would be my next level, right? Because your dream is for both of you to ascend together,
right,
in your own path.
Yes, I think it's healthy that we're both evolving. I think it's
right, and not just evolving, because you can evolve and stay right where you are.
Right.
I think ultimately, I hear you saying, I want both of us to rise, right? Because you're going to your next level. You want him to
go to his next level too, right?
And that's perfectly fine, and it's commendable, because that's the unit, right? But to Kim's point, that picture might not look the way. Because he got you to start thinking, maybe it's not just about being a lieutenant. Maybe I could start a security firm.
Yes.
The point is, your vision of what the two of you would look like as a successful power couple, to use your term, may differ from his. Not that you wouldn't still be a power couple, but maybe it just isn't going to be in the police department.
Yeah, and I get it, and I'm for whatever he wants, but I'm just saying in the perspective that he's viewing things as, you know, Jill, you know, I hate that, you know, if something falls through, then it falls back on me, that I wasn't there with the initial plan, you know, and I'm like, that can cause an issue, because that would be that we're going against each other. We're one unit. I see it as we being one. You know,
so he wants you to come to him and talk to him before you make that decision.
And I usually do, but do
you hear though?
Yeah, make that decision, and also to have him very much so involved.
And that's okay, but involved as in, all right, say we're doing a podcast right now, and he would want to be probably to chime in on a topic one week.
I have to explain to him that, listen, this podcast wasn't planned because he seemed to think that I had this up my sleeve. And so I told him exactly how it happened. That it was so spontaneous.
Yeah, it was
because
spontaneous.
then again, you will feel like he's out of the picture, like I'm
You're making
moves,
decisions without
and
him.
it's not the case. Look how spontaneous this was.
It's funny you should say that, because I told my other half that I had planned on, normally every year I take a cruise with my sister and whoever else, right? But if anybody has cruise, you know that cruising is not cheap, right? So I said to him, oh, well, I already, and you know, when I do it big too. So I'm like, listen, there's no other ship for me other than Icon of the Seas. Now I recognize that Icon of the Seas is a little bit more expensive, but this is why I work hard
one out there,
and I save my money, right? Because we're not going on a little rinky dink one. We're going on Icon of the Seas. And he's like, but babe, that was before we got together. So now we have to. And I said, you know what?
Yeah, you're right.
Touche.
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
Let's work out the budget, because again, we have dreams. We have goals.
And moving forward, that's what it's going to be. So you have to start stepping into.
I know, but you see how my independent, powerful self
is being.
And my plan was already there.
Very nice. I'm so proud of you.
I'm 9. You see? I'm 9.
Proud of you. Well done. Well done. Good and faithful.
Let me just say this. Yes, my good and faithful servant.
Yes.
Let me just say this. It's always been the case that whenever I engage and I choose to engage in a relationship, I always am mindful of how I respond and the room and the space that I create for my partner to be a man.
Yeah. Well,
you can't be a weak man and be with me.
True. And that's why I'll drink to the fact that I didn't have to tell nobody nothing. I just plan and execute.
Someone a glass empty again. No,
this is my second thing.
Cheers with the empty glass.
Refill, please.
So as we prepare to kind of bring the episode to a close, let me just ask you guys one last point of consideration. What would you say to women out there who are currently watching this episode in the privacy of their home, and they may not be at their best selves, and they're asking, well, what do I do now? I don't feel like myself anymore. What would your best advice be?
So my best advice would be finding self-awareness, like Kim said on the first episode. First, look into yourself, try to develop an awareness of yourself. Movement is very important, whether it's exercising or finding something that you do. You said journaling, meditation, prayer is very important. Try to find a spiritual outlet. And I would say, boundaries. Make sure that you're maintaining certain boundaries with friendship, marriage. Well, marriage not so much, because you can't really escape marriage. You have to just learn to work with it. But certain friendship, you can, have limits, job. And so that is prayer, movements, boundaries, self-care, and exercising is important, proper dieting and nutrition. Rest is very, very vital, because as the hormone level, the estrogen and progesterone decrease, it also can put you in unstable mood emotionally, hormonal, right? So you need to now really make time for rest. And I think those are basic tenets that we can go by to start with.
Amazing. I will answer this question from a perspective of women who are on a budget, women who are maybe undocumented, women who are trapped in abusive relationships or just feeling trapped. For one, I would say take yourself mentally back to a place where that one thought always puts a smile on your face. Even for a lot of my friends, they were told they can't have children, and they happen to fall through that one son or that one child. You remember the day that child was born and how the joy you felt inside? Nothing can ever take that away from you. And remember the commitment you made to that child or to yourself to never fail. Take up something that you love. If it could be baking, it could be cooking a meal. When you put your heart into cooking a meal, and you sit down to eat that meal.
It's everything.
Now, don't overdo it now. Don't overdo it.
10 fingers. And again, find that balance within. Self-love. It could go for a walk. Connect with nature.
Yeah.
Here it's spring now. If you're going through that moment and it's present, it's now. Listen to the birds chirping. That's newness coming forth. Look at the flowers springing from the ground. That's newness coming forth. It's not over for you. You have newness coming for you as well.
Amen.
Hey, beautiful. Listen, two powerful responses. So, from my perspective, I think these two covered most of what is important for all of us. But I just want to say, first of all, that this is not the end, right? None of us have expiration dates. Our lives are going to be different. And it's natural for us to go through a roller coaster, so to speak, of experiences and emotions. So my best advice to the woman who's watching us and she's probably questioning, why she doesn't feel herself anymore and what to do about it, I can say, find a way to turn it off. And when I say turn it off, I mean the noise of the world, right? Recognize that we're all humans, but we're all individuals, right? It's the intricacies and our differences that make us unique, not just our similarities.
Right.
We bond as women in a sisterhood, but we're all individuals and beautiful in the way we are uniquely created. And sometimes when we get bogged down by the noise of the world, especially if you're constantly on social media, or if you turn on the TV, the news is never good news. I want to say be intentional about turning it off.
Yes.
Silence the noise. Silence the noise in your mind. Silence the noise in your head. Don't be afraid to take that internal walk, to go into the spaces and the places where we don't often want to go because you might confront some things. Just like I kind of got a little emotional earlier, right?
Okay.
Don't be afraid to go into the spaces and places of life where you might not necessarily want to go by yourself. And I say, face your fear, because that's the most important step to healing, right? Reach out and touch. Even when you feel like you're alone, there's always someone there. If you look around, there's always someone there who you can talk to. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, mental health. There's so much talk about mental health and mental health awareness in this day and age. There's BetterHelp. You can find a therapist online. You can find therapists who take cash in the event that you don't have insurance. You know what I mean? There are supportive platforms out there that will afford you some support. I just ask that you be creative, but be intentional about living life on purpose. So that would be my best advice. So on that note, I would like to say thank you all so very much for joining us on a very powerful episode, another powerful episode here on the 40-ish podcast between myself, Jill the NP, and the illustrious Kim Andrade. We would like to say thank you so much for joining us. We invite you to watch and rewatch and discuss these topics in your living room. Follow us on all social media platforms. We are on TikTok at the 40ish podcast 1. We're on Instagram at the 40ish_podcast. And we are home on YouTube at the 40ish podcast. We invite you to like, comment, share, push it out to your friends, family, no matter where you are. We've been getting amazing feedback, so we encourage you, continue. First of all, thank you guys so much for engaging. You have no idea how much support we've been getting from you guys, and we appreciate it. But we encourage you guys to put your comments in the chat, because we are using those comments to further the conversation. We have other amazing topics coming up for future episodes based on things that you have given us. And so stay locked in, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you will be the first to know when we drop new content. So on behalf of my beautiful co-host and our executive producer in the background,
behind the scenes,
thank you all so much for joining us for another wonderful episode, and we will see you on the next one. Goodbye.
And